All right, welcome to another episode of the Ari Lewis Show here on IsraelSportsNewsRadio.com. Also, this will be on the YouTube channel, The Nation of Israel, hopefully. Hope everyone will enjoy this program and we can get comments, feedback, complaints, whatever. It's a Jewish country. Email address, arilewisShow@hotmail.com. Very excited to have our guest on this evening. She is a producer, writer, also actress. Her latest film is Talking to God. It's a very fascinating story, and we're happy to have on the program this evening Maya Batash. Maya, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So many questions to ask you. And by the way, I'll give a little hint here to some of the viewers. Some of the questions were presented to me because they somehow found out you were going to be on this program, because there's no secrets in Israel anymore. So some of the questions are mine, some of the questions are from the audience. So that'll be a lot of fun. First question, this is mine, is that in the movie you play Rebecca. And I know Tarantino and Hitchcock, they put themselves in their own movies, but it's not a simple thing to do, and you were able to do it. How challenging was that for you to be a director of other people and direct yourself?
Well, I mean, actually, it's not my first time at bat. I made another feature a while ago called Out of the Fog.
Right, 2009.
Yeah, and did the same thing. Well, the problem is this. I really love acting, and so it's hard for me to pick between directing and acting, and plus I felt like the character is not autobiographical, but I felt like I really knew her.
Okay.
And I felt like I could do a great job.
That was one of the questions. I'm happy you brought this up, because I think a lot of people think it is autobiographical. It isn't, but you were influenced based on some personal experiences to make the film, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so could you clarify that aspect?
Okay. Well, so let's see, how can I put this? So, okay.
Did you really go 12 days without sleeping?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No.
I'd be impressed if you did. I go like a day without sleeping. I'm not a happy person to be around. So if you did 12, I'd ask you, how did you do that?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Thank God. No, thank God.
Sleep's important?
I was going through like a challenge in my life.
Okay.
And I did meet up with a friend who did kind of get me to start learning the Garden of Emunah with her.
Okay.
But it wasn't the situation like in the film. And the book did change my life.
Okay.
And another friend actually did invite me to go with her, with a group of women, to Uman. And that trip also was very transformative. And so that part of it was, that's the inspiration that, brought the character. But of course I embellished and I made up things that weren't there. And she's not me, but she was inspired by me. Let's put it that way.
Okay, that's a fair thing to say. And regarding filming locations, there was obviously flat out, they'll tell the audience it was filmed in Staten Island.
Not flat out. No, we did film in Uman a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and in Brooklyn.
Okay, so the scenes that take place in Uman in the film, those were filmed in Uman?
No. Some of the outdoor shots were done in Uman, but most of the indoor things were done in either Staten Island or in a studio in Brooklyn. Okay,
and the filming in Uman, did the people, the residents in lovely Ukraine, were they all freaked out? Hey, what are you doing here? I know they're used to seeing Jews, but that's at this certain time of the year, not, when did you film it? What part of the year?
We filmed, in Uman, we filmed in the summertime.
Okay.
And, a lot of them...
They thought you got there early, I guess. A few months early.
No, well, the thing is, at that point, I was a big fan of going to Uman, and a lot of them kind of knew me at that point.
Oh, okay. so they weren't surprised to see you.
They were just kind of, oh, hey, it's her. What is she doing with that camera guy? And most people were very friendly, and there was a lady, though, that I think she had memories of old communist Russia, and she was very fearful.
Okay.
And
that's why I'm asking the question, because you've seen the camera, what's going on?
Yeah, and so when she found out that there were people going into apartment buildings and filming inside, she actually came over to me and she said, "Don't do this.
Oh, wow.
Stop doing this."
Okay.
And
did you say back, we're making a film, so don't worry about it?
No, I don't think she would have understood. She was traumatized by stuff in the past, so I just said okay.
Okay.
That's why we didn't do more than what we did in Uman.
Okay, but you were able to obviously get some shots, make the film more authentic.
Yeah, we got a lot of good outdoor shots, a lot of ambiance. Yeah.
Okay. One of the questions I got a lot from the viewers in advance, interesting enough, is your inspiration to make the film. Obviously, you mentioned personal experience, but was there something else? What really kickstarted you to do it?
Okay. It was my second trip to Uman. The first trip was just this crazy, mind-blowing experience. Not at the time. At the time, I was just there. My first trip, I didn't know what I was doing there. The women, some of them were a little bit, let's put it this way, unusual.
Okay. All right. Fair thing to say.
And I didn't really feel like I fit in, but I was there, and it just kind of brought up a lot of stuff. And when I came home, I felt very, very different. I couldn't even explain it.
Okay.
And they say when you go to a kever of a tzaddik, but especially to Rabbi Nachman, it's kind of like when you're boiling a vat of soup. All of a sudden, like all the icky stuff comes up on the top. So it's like when you go to a kever of a tzaddik, it's like all that stuff that's maybe underneath the surface that you're not even aware of that you need to work on comes out, so you could be aware of it and heal it. So that's kind of what happened to me on my first trip. And then I went a second time a while later, and on my second time I was already very, very, like I saw the beauty of going, and something kind of came into my head. I should make a movie about this. I had no story. I had no idea what the movie should be. I just knew I should make a movie about this. Meanwhile, I was writing something totally different. I was writing this other comedy that didn't even have a spiritual component, nothing. And this idea came into my head, and then it took me over. And then I put everything aside, and I just did that.
And to your knowledge, is your film the first one about Uman Rosh Hashanah?
Well, I know there are people who've made films about, documenting the experience, showing the crowds and, the excitement.
More documentary style.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I think this is the first one where there's a story, where it's like a fictional story, but it's also kind of inspired by some truth. Yeah.
Again, this is the Ari Lewis Show here on Israel Sports and News Radio, also on the YouTube channel, The Nation of Israel. Our guest this evening is Maya Batash. So when you are looking for actors and actresses to be in the movie, what is your sales pitch to them? Hey, I'm going to make a movie about Uman Rosh Hashanah. Want to do it? How did that work out? How did you get the cast together?
Okay, well, first of all, something you should know about actors in New York, they're the ones trying to sell you, not the other way around.
All right, good to know.
Every actor wants a job.
Okay,
so,
we'll have to remember that.
Yeah.
Somehow we'll use it, maybe.
Yeah. So actually, like what I say about the entire making of the film, there was a lot of personal prayer involved.
Okay.
About every aspect of it, from the writing of it to everything, to getting the right crew together, the right actors. So I would say the first thing that I did to make anything work was I prayed. And then we had some great messengers. We had a great casting director called Todd Thaler, who is actually very well known. He's cast some movies with some big stars, and we were really lucky to get him because my producing partner knew someone who knew him, and he did a great job.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Are you able to say some of the other people he's worked with, or he likes on the DL?
I believe he cast a film, what's it called? Made in Manhattan.
Okay.
With Jennifer Lopez.
Okay.
And Ray Fiennes.
So he's worked with a lot of famous people, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that helpful or surprising that you're thinking, you know what, I think this film is on the right track because we can get this guy aboard? Was that inspirational to you and you thought, okay, we're in the right direction?
Well, I think once we had the actors together, then yeah, I thought that. But before that, before I see the results, like I believe, like my personal belief is like God is the one that creates everything, and He brings messengers. So I believe like you're a messenger, and maybe I'm a messenger for you.
Right.
So
that's another name for a way to explain angels in the Torah. Another way to say just they're messengers.
Right.
Not necessarily that they're this cosmic type of thing, but just shliach, like a messenger.
Yeah.
It's another way to say it.
Right. So I saw kind of everybody, especially since I was basing everything through my own personal prayer with God, asking for absolutely everything. So then if I got an amazing casting director, it wasn't the casting director that gave me inspiration, it was the results of it. But yeah, it was nice to know that someone like that was inspired by my film enough to work on it, because I guess he didn't have to be.
How long did it take for the actors and the filming process to be completed? I know there's the filming part and the editing part. Together, how long would you say it took?
Well, there was some pre-production time, which is the planning part, and I forget already how long that took, but the
labor of love, right? You don't count the hours when it's a labor of love.
No.
Yeah, okay. That's a good answer.
Yeah. Well, we filmed the film during the Chagim.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it was in. So we started before Rosh Hashanah. I think it was a week or two. We filmed. We stopped for Rosh Hashanah. We filmed during between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Stopped.
Oh, wow.
And then we filmed between Sukkot, and then I think a day or two after Sukkot, it was after Simchas Torah, we finished.
Wow.
So
you did not mess around. Most intense time of the year. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, one of my favorite parts of the film, this is actually in the trailer, is where the character of Rebecca is trying to figure out how to solve this problem, and she goes to a rabbi, and the rabbi's like, get married, right? Which is funny because, you know, a lot of people in the modern Orthodox world can certainly relate to that because, you know, personally stories, I've met with a lot of rabbis, and you could say something like, literally, I'm having trouble sleeping, and they might, well, get married. I don't, Makesh, like, I don't understand how that solves, I'm not anti-marriage, but how does that solve the sleeping problem? Did you have personal experience like that, if you want to discuss, where you'd ask a question about one thing, and the rabbi's like, well, just get married? Did you base that scene on a personal
No,
experience?
I just was making a joke.
Okay, but
Yeah.
you must have heard these stories before that it...
I kind of like thought, you know, it's just like the basic Jewish way of looking at you know, if you could talk to any Jewish person and you know, over the age of, I guess, 40, and they see a person who's looking for who has problems and they're not married, they're probably going to tell you, go get married, you'll feel better.
Right.
You know.
But my part of my thinking is like, well, wouldn't I want to fix the problem before I get married, so my spouse doesn't have to deal with that? Wouldn't that be more like the honorable thing to do? But I got a kick out of that, and you've actually have seen this film with audiences. So did you ever think, they laughed at that joke, I wasn't expecting that, or the other way around? I thought I'd get a laugh, didn't, or a bigger laugh, smaller laugh, anything that surprised you among the audiences when they watched the film, the screening part?
Yeah, well, the first time we screened it, it was at Cinematheque in Jerusalem.
Right.
And it was a really great response. And I had seen the film so many times with the editing, and of course, you know, I was so familiar with it. At that point, I didn't know anymore what was funny and what wasn't. So the first 10 minutes, when I saw people were laughing, I was like, oh, really? That's amazing. That's cool.
Yeah, it's good. Because I've given speeches before where that's what's so fun about it is, oh, I thought this joke would work and it didn't, and the other joke worked a lot better than I thought, and it's there's a variable there that's very hard to exactly get down, and that's part of the fun of it.
Yeah, I think also the audience, I do a lot of improv, so I know whenever I've done improv shows, it's the audience determines what's funny.
Right.
You know, one audience will think something's hilarious, the other one will laugh at something you don't even think is funny.
Yeah.
So it's like the audience becomes a part of the experience, really, and I don't think it's different with the film.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed that in myself, personal experience. I remember when I was 17, I did stand-up comedy at this place in Tempe, Acme, which is probably not around anymore, unfortunately, but, and I killed. The next week, same joke, same location, bombed. People were really mad at me, and I didn't understand. But that's part of the fun of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the film does very well. You win a lot of awards. Florida Jewish Comedy Festival wins the Best Picture Award. Yeah. And you win the Best Director.
Best Director, and we also got a Best Actor award for the guy who plays the fixer, Zebedee Rowe.
So, did that pleasantly surprise you, or like, I expected that? I knew I was going to win.
No, I don't expect anything. It was very nice. Yeah.
It was very, in those situations, you're up against other types of films of the independent genre.
Yeah.
Do other people say, let's say, you know, they're not Jewish, there are non-Jewish people in the film business, by the way, do they come to like, you know, I'm not Jewish, but I like that. Any compliments like that?
A lot of people like that.
Okay, so tell us about that.
It's not just like a film. It's not really like a film about Judaism. It's a film about life, about how to get through life when you have challenges, how to be happy, and I think that's universal. Like it's based on the teachings of Rabbi Nachman, who was a Jewish
philosopher,
Rebbe,
another way.
mystic, philosopher, guide, whatever you want to call him, teacher, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't really talk about Judaism in the film. What I talk about is what Rabbi Nachman talks about all the time, which is about emunah, how to be happy, how to elevate yourself when things are not going well. And I think that's universal. So thank God I had a lot of non-Jewish people saying, I've had people who are Jewish and say, I'm an atheist, but I loved your film. Or non-Jewish people saying, I really learned something that can help me, and it's not something I'm teaching. This is all teachings of Rabbi Nachman. Okay,
again, this is the Ari Lewis Show here on Israel Sports and News Radio, also on the YouTube channel, The Nation of Israel. Our guest this evening is Maya Batash. So one of the things I'm really happy to speak with you about is that you would call yourself an Orthodox Jewish woman. Is that fair to say?
Okay, we could do that.
Well, I'll tell you why I'm setting that up. Because I think a lot of people in the Orthodox world feel maybe a stigma or uncomfortable about doing something artistic. Right? If you,
That's a good thing. That's
yeah.
a good point, yeah.
So talk about how you're balancing the two, or maybe that you can inspire other people, other Orthodox people, to get more involved with the arts, because it's such an important part of expression. It can do a lot of good. Obviously, we see from the film it does a lot of good. So talk about that aspect.
I don't think that just because you keep Torah and mitzvahs doesn't mean you can't be yourself.
Okay.
Doesn't mean you can't do something expressively and creatively, and without doing it in a way that's like against Torah. I don't think you have to be against Torah to do something that you love, to do something that's creative and can also inspire other people. I think it could be a Kiddush Hashem.
You know, two of really good friends of mine who helped me a lot in my sports career are two guys, if they're watching out there, Dimitri Salita and Yuri Foreman, are two Shomer Shabbat boxers. Like, boxers is a violent sport, and you would think, wow, a good religious Jewish boy shouldn't be doing that, but they figured out how to balance the two. They keep Shabbat and kashrut. They'd walk into the ring with talit, or tzitzit, etc., and have Jewish emblems on themselves. So they figured out a way to do it. There is a way to do it, to balance this sport or theater with Judaism. You could get both. Yeah. Correct?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people who are doing it, and I'm for it. I hope if what I did inspires others, that's great.
You know, I gave a lecture, this is about a week ago or so, the concept of what we could take from the Galut and still use it in Judaism. One of the things I brought up was the theater, because if we're going to take a look at Galut and say it's a terrible thing, let's not use it whatsoever, well, then the theater would have to go, and sports, and a fur hat. I mean, a lot of things that we got from non-Jews would have to go, and there's a concept you could take things from non-Jews and use it for Judaism, like the Jews left Egypt with gold, and they built the Mishkan with it. Also built the Chet Egel, so it depends on what you do with it. So is this an example of theater was invented in the Galut, but in Europe, but here you're now using the theater and in a movie to help promote more ideas of Rabbi Nachman?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not sure where. Maybe you're right, but I'm not sure when theater or where it was discovered. But I think from the beginning of time, people were telling stories and possibly acting it out among themselves. So I think it's like a natural thing. I think it's fun.
You don't want to give Shakespeare credit for that?
I don't think Shakespeare started it.
That's true. But he did invent the name Jessica, which apparently I discovered.
This is important.
Yeah, Jessica's in The Merchant of Venice, Shylock's daughter. But he got the name from Ischa, so it still comes back from Judaism anyway. So there you go.
Yeah.
So but in general, you could take these things from the non-Jewish world and apply it. I mean, Rabbi Nachman, doesn't he talk about more of a global idea? That about using everything. That's part of the theme of your movie, is that the people are happy with a lot of little things. There's people that are poor that are really, really happy. The guy playing violin, these different things. So talk about that aspect of using these little things and being happy from it.
Well, this is all what Rabbi Nachman says. So he says to be happy, it's very hard and he actually went through a lot of disasters in his life. Things where I think many members of his family passed away, and so he went through a lot. So he says in his magnum opus, Likutei Moharan, he says that the natural state of a human being is to be mildly depressed. So that's but we can't do what we came here in this world to do if we just stay in our natural state. So that's why it's very important to go out of your way to make yourself happy. Why? So that you can do what you came to do in this world. And he talks a lot about how to make yourself happy, and that's what's in the film as well. One of the main things to do is doing personal prayer. Because if you think about it, I mean, we all have this outer covering of our bodies, but we're all souls. So what makes a soul happy? It's not like another pair of shoes. I'm not against buying new shoes, but what makes a soul happy is connecting to its source. So when we do personal prayer, when we talk to God in our own words, it's basically our soul is connecting to source. It's kind of like our cell phone is recharging. We are the cell phone, we're recharging. And it's very, very hard to be happy when we don't have this regular practice of reconnecting to our source through talking to God in our own words, telling him everything, whatever is going on in our lives, whether it's gratitude, whether it's difficulties, whether it's asking for help. This is the true source of happiness, and the happiness comes as a gift after connecting to Source. That's one of the main things he says. And the other thing he says is that after doing that, then you have to come up with things to make yourself happy. Because 1 hour a day, he says, talk to God, reconnect to your Source, and then the rest of the other 23 hours, go out of your way to do whatever it takes to make yourself happy. And that's why Rabbi Nachman talks about the importance of singing and dancing, because it lifts us up. And it's not because like it's some hokey pokey thing to do. It's because these things lift us up.
Wow. Again, this is the Ari Lewis Show here on Israel Sports and News Radio, also on the YouTube channel, The Nation of Israel. Our guest this evening is Maya Batash, not Jessica Batash, but Maya Batash. But this is something I want to clarify, because I have seen people take these teachings and, in my opinion, use it incorrectly, meaning somebody gets drunk every single day and they say, well, that makes me happy. I don't think that's what Rabbi Nachman meant. Not that I can say for sure, but...
No. I mean, he says do things, I mean, in a positive, healthy way.
Okay.
That make you happy. Like dance, I think that's pretty healthy. Or sing. Or if you enjoy doing an activity that's healthy. I don't think destructive activities are what he was talking about.
Okay. All right, just to clarify, for some of the people out there watching. So here's a question where I thought for a long time, I've told a couple of my friends, and since you're a person that studied Rabbi Nachman a lot, I will ask, do you think Rabbi Nachman himself was clinically depressed?
Oh, you know what? This is the second time I've heard this in the last week. Someone else told me this.
Okay,
and I was
so it's a sign.
like, whoa, what the heck?
I've heard this for years, and I didn't really want to bring it up. I didn't want to offend people, but you know what? We're going to keep it real on this show. We talk about a lot of things, a lot of controversial topics, and I've heard this for years. I figured I'm going to use this question tonight. I have the theory him being clinically depressed, and that when he was saying being happy, he was also telling himself that.
Well, I think I have no idea if he was or wasn't. It's hard to know, but
Sure.
I know one thing. I know a lot of people, I know therapists, when they're healing a patient, they're really like healing themselves.
Right.
I know,
The
like
Robin Williams thing, right?
Yeah.
You ever notice Robin Williams in all the movies? He's a therapist or a comedian, or there was something there. Yeah, if you look back on
Yeah.
it, you're like, oh, okay, I see what he's trying to do.
Yeah, and I can also tell you, like teachers, people who lecture, when they lecture, they often say afterwards, wow, I was tested on the very things that I just taught.
Right.
So it's really, it's like, I think we're doing the things that are really supposed to help ourselves. So like even by making this movie, I was learning the whole time.
Right.
I was learning, I was tested. I don't want to be tested more, but I was tested
Yeah, I
quite
hear
a
that,
bit.
yeah.
And so I think I hope, I don't know if Rabbi Nachman was, but I know one thing. I mean, he did go through all these tragedies. I don't know, I don't think back then there were diagnoses of clinical depression, but he had reason to be sad, whether it was a clinical diagnosis or not. But the fact that he fought it, and that's what he says. That's what he says. God doesn't want your perfection. What he wants is the fight.
Yeah.
You know, nobody can be perfect. Nobody can be always happy. What he wants is the fight.
Right.
He wants, I want to be happy. You could pray to God, I want to be happy. God, help me to be happy. That's where the happiness comes from, as a free gift. Not because, you know, you checked off all the things on your list to make yourself happy.
Yeah, I've told people that. There's a friend of mine, won't say his name, but sometimes he sleeps in too much. And I say, dude, you know that's not going to help you get up. And he said, I don't want to get up, but you got to kind of, some things I've told other people, you got to fight, you know? You got to get up. So it's not, doesn't, you know, I'd always wake up in the morning and want to get out of bed and go to work.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of people like that, but I have my black coffee without sugar and milk, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And regarding to Rabbi Nachman and clinical depression, I'll tell a story. A friend of mine's a psychologist, and this was 10 years ago. I said, have you ever noticed that psychologists tend to be crazy? So he said, he kind of smiled. He said, what type of restaurant would you like to go to? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you want to go to one where the cook loves to cook, right? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. He's like, yeah. He's like, you know, therapists, sometimes they become therapists because therapy school is cheaper than seeing a therapist. So he's like, but it's a good thing, because since they want to heal themselves, then they're more likely to heal others.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you want to really learn how to be good at something, teach someone how to do it.
Right, because you learn from your students. Is right, teaching about that as well. So Rabbi Nachman, even if, let's say, was clinically depressed, would not mean to necessarily. That's why I don't like people say, oh, well, if he's clinically depressed, let's ignore his teachers. No, the opposite. More into his teachers, right?
Right.
Would you say that?
But I don't know that I would use the term that clinically depressed, because I don't know. Everybody has ups and downs, you know?
Okay.
It's hard to know. I don't think back in the 1700s there was psychologists, psychiatrists to go to.
Right.
So
He couldn't say I'm PTSD and get medication and go on disability and not have a job. He couldn't do those things back then, right? Just had to fight and go through.
yeah, but a lot of the things that he teaches now we're discovering in even things like string theory. He talked about that back in the 1700s. He didn't call it string theory, but he talked about it. He said, like, for example, he talked about if you see a person that you don't love, look for one good point in them. And by looking for that one good point in that person, you change the person. It's like similar to string theory, which is like by focusing on something, and how you focus on it changes the reality, which is basically what they're finding now. But he was talking about it in Likutei Moharan in the 1700s. So, yeah.
Wow, that's good advice. I need to try that myself. We'll see if it works.
And he says, then why do you do that also? To do that for yourself.
Right.
If there's something you don't like about yourself, look at one good point in yourself, and it changes you.
Right. There's a bunch of these books are coming out last generation, 25 years or so, about that you should make a list about all the good things you did today, because there's a natural inclination. You say it's a horror, psychology, whatever you want to say you're not good enough or you didn't do good things, and you write down, you're like, oh, okay, not so bad after all type of thing. Again, this is the Ari Lewis Show here on Israel Sports News Radio, also on the YouTube channel, The Nation of Israel. Our guest this evening is Maya Batash. So let's talk about the aspect of, you made this film, and a lot of questions I got in advance were, what's your next project going to be? Have you thought about that yet?
Yeah, I have it. I have a next project, and that was the thing that I put to the side because this took over. But it's a comedy, and it's going to be putting together the experience of kind of like what you and I are experiencing, the people that we know in Jerusalem are experiencing, but it's a comedy. So I'm sorry I can't get more detailed than that, but it's a fun comedy about kind of what we're going through.
That's probably needed, probably more than ever. Regarding the COVID pandemic situation, your movie was actually released a year ago. It was during the COVID time.
No, it was, yeah, you're right.
When it was released, yeah, I did my research. So I guess how to explain it where you're like, oh wow, this movie that I worked so hard and put so much energy into it, it's COVID, what's going to happen? Did you go through those thoughts at all?
Yeah, and that's kind of why I agreed to have online distribution.
Okay.
So, it was in the middle of COVID, so of course every filmmaker wants theatrical release, but at that time I kind of said, okay, I shrugged my shoulders. I said the most important thing is that people see this movie, and everyone here should watch this movie because it's life-changing. So, and it's funny.
Yeah.
But the point was the movie should get out there. So I'm okay. I'm okay with the online distribution that we have. We have a distributor, Random Media, and you can watch this film anywhere. You can watch it on Amazon, iTunes, Apple TV, Google Play, Fandango, and in Israel you can watch it on Vimeo. So that's pretty awesome to be able to, anyone can watch it whenever they want in their living room, and they don't have to even go anywhere. Do I still want it to be in theaters? Yes.
It's a better experience, obviously.
So if there's anyone out there who can help me do that, you're welcome to contact me.
All right, so a few more segments. I want to save this part towards the end because we have some controversial questions for you in this way. If you're upset and walk out, we still got part of the interview, you know what I'm saying? But
I still have my French fries.
That's right. No, it's not going to be so serious, but I wanted to talk about I don't know if you say the elephant in the room or whatever, the idea that there are people that are not a fan of the custom of going to Uman Rosh Hashanah. There are people that really love it. One of my best friends has gone, I think, every year for 10 years. He asked me to go every year for 8 years in a row. I kept telling him no, so he gave up finally. Because I haven't left Israel in over 12 years. So talk about that concept because you have been there personally, you've experienced it. So I guess for the haters of people that say not to go, what would you say to them?
I think I wouldn't. I say if you want a transformative experience, I don't really have words for you. I don't have an entire intellectual discourse. But if you want a transformative experience, if you want to have something that could influence your entire year for the better, because the whole point of going there at Rosh Hashanah is because it's the head. It's the head of the year. And going to Rabbi Nachman during the beginning, it's supposed to influence not just your year, but also your thoughts. Because what's the bottom line? What makes a person happy or not happy? It's your thoughts. So you go there because you're going there at the head of the year to influence your head, to have thoughts that could lead. There's great music in the background.
Yes.
I hope you can hear me.
It's okay.
That's going to lead to like a better year, better thoughts, and a better outcome. So I can't tell you if you go 100%, you're going to win the lottery. I can't tell you that. Can't tell you 100% you're going to go, you're going to meet the man or woman of your dreams. But I can tell you this, it's going to change your life. And trust me, that's it.
Have you gone to graves of the Tzaddikim before Rebbe Nachman? Have you done it before? What were some that you've been to, and compare that to, that was another question we got, by the way, in advance, is the importance of going to the graves of the Tzaddikim, and I know you're big into saying Tehillim, so talk about how that's a big part of your life.
Well, I mean, I'm not a rabbi or rebbitzin or anything, but I could tell you that I think it's something special to go to a kever of a tzaddik and connect to the neshama of the tzaddik and ask for them to lift up your prayers. I think it's like going to a good doctor. It's like, who's the healer? God is the healer. But, you know, he's the...
Doctor's the kli.
Doctor's the kli. I'm not saying that tzaddik is a kli. The tzaddik is... what's a tzaddik? A tzaddik is someone who doesn't have, like, he doesn't have things that he did that were wrong. So he doesn't have.
Or he does more right than wrong, or does more repentance.
So there's less like blockages. So the tefillot of a tzaddik go up immediately. So what are you doing when you go to a tzaddik, whether it's a live tzaddik or a tzaddik's, the soul of a tzaddik at a kever? You're going there to ask that they lift up your prayers. That's really it.
Right. Which a friend of mine told me, I'm going to give a shout out, Raphael Katz, he said, told me a year ago that we actually are allowed to do that. You can ask a tzaddik to pray on your behalf, apparently. That's my understanding. Someone says it's wrong, write in the comments, but that is my understanding.
Well, you're not praying to the tzaddik.
Sure, you cannot do that,
You're just saying, help me out. Can you give me a little protexia and bring it up there?
Right, and we have sources that indicate that is allowed and good, etc. Again, this is the Ari Lewis Show here on Israel Sports News Radio. Our guest this evening is Maya Batash, also on YouTube. It's on the Nation of Israel. Yeah, I think Rebbe Nachman maybe sending this music or for some reason, because you talked about the importance of music, right, and singing.
The Yitzhahara.
The Yitzhahara, yeah.
That's exactly it.
It seriously is. Seriously
Got
is.
it.
This guy's playing with the volume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got quiet. He's starting.
Yeah.
Start talking about room. I'm gonna hear what.
So yeah, there is something to that.
Yeah.
Regarding, you know, when you talk about new projects and things of that nature, do you feel like, though, your goal is it to make the next film better than this one, or this one's kind of, because, you know, actors like Will Smith, for example, said his best acting performance was Ali in 2001, and he didn't think he would eclipse it, and wasn't his goal. Kind of put that on the shelf separately. Do you feel like that with this film?
No, I don't think that way. I have a different way of thinking. My thinking is like, well,
we'll work on the editing.
my thinking is more like, I just want to do what I love and use it to inspire people. It's not me at all. It's not me. So I know I love doing these things. Hopefully I'm good at them. I just want to use it to be a blessing to the world. So that's really it. I don't care what's better or worse. I just want it to inspire, and I just want to do what God wants me to do. That's it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, another episode here of the Ari Lewis Show. Our guest of the evening has been Maya Batash. So we really thank you for your time and appreciate it. Give a bunch of plugs. They want to see the movie. Where can they go?
Okay, so it's called, go to the website talkingtogodmovie.com. And if you're in Israel, there's a link there for Vimeo. And if you're in America, there's the links for all the other ways you can see it. Amazon, Apple TV, iTunes, and Google Play, Fandango, Hulu, I think Hulu. And if you like the film, please give a great review on imdb.com and Amazon or wherever you saw the film. Thank you very much.
All right, well, continued success. Yeah, watch the film, continued success. Thank you for being on the program. Thank you everyone for watching. This has been the Ari Lewis Show. God bless and good night.